Hi, it's Ba. Getting ready to go on a camping trip, so I thought I would do an AOC style video today, like the one that she was doing when she was putting together some furniture in her fancy schmancy apartment, which she thinks everybody in the world should be justified in having. That's another story. But anyway, so I'm packing up to go on a camping trip, and I don't think AOC is going to be doing any camping anytime soon. Here I got some spices. Got my mini mayonnaise. Today I'm here to talk to you about euphemisms. Does that fit in there? Yeah. Euphemisms and how people are using them in politics. I got a quote here from George Orwell. He says, "Political language has to consist largely of euphemism, question begging, and sheer cloudy vagueness." So one of the things we're talking about here is the fact that people on different sides can't even speak to each other because of the vagueness of the language. I like to go right to the dictionary. If I'm having trouble when I'm writing something and want to make sure that I'm using a word in exactly the correct way, I go to the dictionary. But in the dictionary, even now, I think they do have things like political correctness, cultural Marxism, and all that kind of stuff, or you can look it up online and see, but you get varied responses on what those terms actually mean. So what it does mean is that people on the left and the right, or just people in general, are having a lot of trouble communicating with each other, which leads to not being able to solve problems. So in order to, for example, make sure that one side's push for abortion rights or reproductive rights, which is also very vague and really actually misleading, is about abortion. And one of the ones that I read recently was embryonic pulsing. This is the new terminology on the left to refer to a heartbeat, because we had the new abortion heartbeat bills in Georgia, Alabama, etc. So instead of calling it a heartbeat, which is like a very human thing, they call it embryonic pulsing. Of course, the left has for a long time, in support of abortion, stated that the fertilized egg in the womb is not a baby. So they want to term it embryo, fetus, anything other than making it like a baby, because if it was a baby, then people would feel bad and they wouldn't support this. So that's just one thing. Another thing here, I got pregnancy removal. Pregnancy removal? Doesn't seem to be really Twitter friendly. Seemed abortion would be better. Baby killing, it's a little bit inflammatory, but pregnancy removal and embryonic pulsing. Another thing that really disturbs me is reproductive rights. Totally wrong term for what's being talked about here, because they're not taking away anybody's right to reproduce. What they're taking away is the life of something that has been produced. A lot of people have said that. I'm not the first, so I won't hang out on that for a while. Oh, here's one. Food insecurity. Food insecurity is designed as people who have felt hungry, basically. And I got to tell you, when I was working, sometimes I had to work through lunch. I was a firefighter, so I had to work through lunch, sometimes through dinner, through breakfast, you name it. Plus, it was expending a lot of energy doing what I was doing. So yeah, I was food insecure. The statistics on the number of people in the United States who are actually starving is very, very low. And a lot of that has to do with other issues than the availability of food, because the availability of food in the United States is amazing. There are so many programs that help people feed their families. I remember being in college, being really young, and went through a bad patch without a job, and I went to a food bank. And they gave me cheese and milk and noodles and all sorts of stuff. That was probably the only time that ever happened. But anyway, and look at the size of the kids now. If anybody is starving in America, they should get the speech not when they're sitting down to dinner, having their parents tell them, oh, there's starving people in China, because that was always the big thing our parents used to say back in the day. People in China are starving. Well, people in America are starving, and then you're like fat as a... I shouldn't say anything because I'm fat too, so... Anyway, food insecurity, there's another one. Let's see what else I got on here. Social justice. I may be interpreting this incorrectly, but to me, who has a degree in administration of justice and looking at what's going on with the social justice movement, I think what they're talking about is justice without law. So basically, justice without law is the wild, wild west. So I'm sure that doesn't really quite fit with the way that people on the left look at it. I'm sure they aren't really imagining, the wild, wild west with everybody going out and shooting each other. But they don't seem to have much of an idea about how to stop people from shooting each other, considering that most of the people in the United States who own guns don't go out and shoot a lot of people, especially the NRA members. Oh, the mischaracterizations of things that you see are so bad sometimes. I saw the other day someone tweeted that the NRA was responsible for selling guns to people involved in school shootings. Now, the NRA does not sell guns. So, clueless. Anyway. Oh, here's a note I made. I was trying to be funny. I was the class clown. With regard to climate change, I would just like to say that I don't agree with the policies that are coming up, like with the Green New Deal and other policies, carbon trade, cap and trade, and that sort of thing. It's like a joke. It's a joke somebody's like pulling on everybody in order to get money from them. And so I was thinking today, it's like if we were living in the time of dinosaurs, when they roamed the earth, Democrats think we could have saved them by taxing them. I mean, that's like just as ridiculous as what they're talking about. Oh, here's another one. Latin X. That's been popping up a lot, and I guess it's supposed to be a Latin person who has a person of Latin ancestry who is not male or female, but one of the other 850 gazillion genders we have now. And then that was making me think of gender fluid. That's one of the classifications of genders we have now. Now, when I hear a term or phrase like gender fluid, what am I thinking of? I'm thinking menstrual blood or nocturnal emissions. Then we have, oh no, I could go on all day. Undocumented immigrants. So on the left, undocumented immigrants is the phrase, and on the right, the term is illegal aliens. So again, this is about the law and the social justice thing, where I guess we're really got down to the point where one side wants no laws, and the other side wants a lot of laws. Basically, too, on the left, it's not so much that they want laws as they want regulations put together by the people in the bureaucracy or unelected and under their control. Anyway, that's a long story. Bill Barr says spying. Spying is a perfectly good word. And a lot of people were against him for saying things about spying in his hearings about the Mueller report. Spying is a perfectly good word, and he made it very clear that spying can either be authorized or unauthorized. So anyway, folks, that's about all I got for today. I gotta get back with packing up my camper here. The fact is that we can't communicate unless we can agree on terms. And I really suggest that we go back to Merriam-Webster, or before you get into any debate, bring it out and say, okay, we're going to depend on dictionary.com or something before we have a discussion, so that if we get into muddy waters, we can define the terms. Thank you. It's the Ba. I look forward to seeing you next week or whenever I get back from my camping trip. Bye.